Hello everybody, CW here. I had the camera all set up. I had everything all set. I was talking to you. We were having a good time. I did it again. I forgot to hit the play button or the record button. So we're going to do just an after chat thing. I've got everything loaded. They all should be SUBSONICs, all with Trail Boss. Yes, it's 357 maximum. I loaded them all on the little Lee. And I used all cast bullets. All those cast bullets. So what I did was I started out looking at my deepest seated bullet. So any of you who haven't used Trail Boss, it's a shame it's gone. It's a shame they're not making it anymore. It was made in Australia, and I think the last bottles came off the line like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's a shame. They were out of Australia, and I think the plant burned down or something happened where they just don't make it anymore. And I wish they would come back out with it, because anybody with a suppressor knows this is like gold. And I was lucky enough to have a few pounds of it, and I was lucky enough to pick up a couple of pounds recently. A couple of bottles. They're not even pounds. They are 9-ounce bottles. It's a very bulky powder. If you haven't seen it, it looks like Cheerios. See if I can show you some here without too much difficulty with one hand. Not going to focus very good for us, but it looks like Cheerios. There you go. They're pretty big flakes. And it's a bulky powder. And the thing with it is, it works really good. It's pretty universal. Universal meaning just about everything can be loaded with it. The key is you don't want to compress it. It's not a low pressure powder. It's a low velocity powder. So you're not going to get a lot of velocity out of this. But you're going to get case fills, and you're not going to have powder positioning problems with it. And it's just tailor-made for suppressor use. Because of that low velocity, it's full pressure, so it's usually cyclable. But you have to try that for yourself and work it out. I'm shooting it here in a single shot, and of course, you should know that your best single shot platforms are sealed breech. They're not semi-autos. They're bolt actions or single shots, stuff like that. So what we've got here is a load that I worked up with the deepest seated bullet. And again, that's because we don't want to compress anything. Ironically, the lightest bullet here is 195 grains. And it's this little green line here. These are ranch dogs. 195 grain ranch dogs. And then we've got some 200, those orange ones are 200, and those purple blue ones are about 205. Everything else is up from there. We got 220s here on the end. That's an MP mold. We got 245. That's a Seiko mold. That's a copy of the Lyman 009. 358 or 35009, but that's a NOE mold, the black one. The orange one is a Lyman 430. That's a 200 grain round nose. And the gray one is a 310 grain. That's a custom a custom accurate mold. The green one there is another NOE. That's a 232 grain. The black ones are 270 grain accurate mold. And those round noses on the end are another Lyman mold, 315. That's a 250-ish grain round nose. So this barrel is an older 357 maximum topper. And it's about 17 inches long, as we have it here. And it's twisted about 1 18 3/4. And I think I'm going to do another video on checking this twist. I did one a while ago, and I don't know if it was on this channel or the other one, but I got a feeling it was on the other channel, so I'll do it on this one, so we'll have it. and I'll tell you how to check your rifling twist. So again, I took the deepest seated bullet and made sure that it wasn't compressed, and then loaded up all these bullets. The charge is lighter than I expected, but remember, it's a very bulky powder. You're not going to get 10 grains of powder in any of these and not have it compressed. So, you know, it's a good sized case too. You know, well, they're a good sized case, and you're not going to get that much powder in there. That's a dirty one. So this will give us an idea. I loaded one and fired one to make sure that it was going to be okay. I can't do chronograph testing here because it's just not enough light. I've tried it before with the air guns and it just doesn't work. So no idea what I'm going to be. Hopefully I'll be 900 range. You know, ideally we'll be right on 1050, but you know, that's high hopes. Ideally we'll be 900 range, at least high 8s, and then I can guesstimate from there what I need to do. I may not be able to hit the number I want. I may have to be low because, again, we can't compress this powder. Usually the best loads are found 90% fill, and that's what I started to talk about. This powder is good for just about all cartridges, just about any. Bottleneck, straight wall, doesn't make a difference. You don't want to compress it, and you want to load it to about 60% minimum. So you look at your bullet, you look at how far it goes in your case, you charge the case with powder, and you extrapolate from there. You want 60% of the case to be filled after the bullet's seated. So not 60% to the rim, 60% of the available case volume after you seat the bullet. So you've got to do a little figuring. Just take the neck out on a bottleneck case if your bullet's seated in the neck, and it's pretty easy. On a straight wall, you're going to have to, you know, stick something down in there and measure and decide how much you need, how much you've got. Throw a few charges in the cases, look at it, and figure it out. It's reloading. It's not a big deal, and it's part of what makes it fun. And then go from there and try it out. So I've loaded my biggest calibers with Trail Boss. My good friend who shoots a lot of really big bores, he loves giant big bores. He's not, ironically, not a fan of recoil. So he shoots great big 600 calibers with Trail Boss. He calls them Cheerios. And he loads with a 900 grain, 800 grain bullet on top of a giant case full of Trail Boss. So he's going to be having to find something else or stop shooting those guns when his Trail Boss is gone. So we talked about those bullets. Some of these are gas checked, so I'm not going to shoot them through the suppressor, any of them. They will probably be okay, but the suppressors are too expensive to take the chance. So I'll shoot them this way. I'll shoot them over the chronograph, get velocity numbers. Hopefully we'll have accuracy along with that. As long as everything looks good, I will just recast whatever mold I like the best and omit the gas check for that use. Now these ones here, these green ones here, these are the Ranch Dog. And this is a gas check bullet, but I never put gas checks on those. So that one there was an easy one. Then that NOE 360-232, that was the green ones you saw on the other side. That's not a gas check mold, so that's nice. The 270s there, that's that Arsenal mold. That's not a gas check mold. The Accurate 36-310s, that's the 300 grainers, the gray ones. That's not a gas check. And then this NOE 360, it says 197, but it's running about 205 or so because it's so soft. That's not a gas check bullet. All the rest of them are gas checks. The 38-315, that's the 250 round nose. That's a gas check. The Seiko 352, that's the number 352. It's a 245 grain. That's a gas check. the 358009. I'm a little dyslexic with my number. That's a 358009, not what you read there. And that's an NOE copy. That's a 280 grain round nose. Gas check. The MP220. That's my favorite 358 bullet. That's a gas check. So I'll just do them without. We did use CCI small rifle primers. And again, I loaded them on the Lee. These were RCBS dies. And my little Redding powder measure. And everything went good. So we got the sight mark on there, the Wraith 2-6. And it's H&R topper. There we go. We're going to have some fun with this. Take it to the range. I'll bring you guys along. And we'll see what we can do. All right. Any questions, post them down below. Any comments, any suggestions, they're always welcome. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. CW out.